The mission is simple. Roll into the tree line, hit them, and come back. Same route as before.
The Strv-122 lurches off the dirt road and crashes into the tree line like a bear showing up uninvited to a rabbit party. Hard stop. The Russians' last hope? That they hadn't been spotted. But no. The Strv-122 commander has eyes on them. The turret swings their way. Trees snap like matchsticks. Boom! The blast wave throws trees, dirt, and debris in every direction. It looks like the kind of place where, even years from now, you'll be able to tell exactly what happened here. Boom! Could anyone possibly survive that?
11 rounds. What do you think yourself, man?
Looking into this guy's eyes is like staring down the barrel of an Strv-122 the moment it fires. His crew does this job several times a day, and every single time it's an insanely close distance. Every single time, the same route, and anyone with steel nerves and an RPG in their hands could end it right there. Is that really how tanks are supposed to fight? And here's the thing. The Russians eventually did track down this Strv-122. Why did the Ukrainians keep using the same route and pulling up right to the edge of Russian positions? Why risk a rare, nearly exclusive to this war asset like the Strv-122 when there are drones, artillery, or CV-90 IFVs, which also fight in this unit, that could do the job? And finally, what happened to the tank and its crew? You're about to see all of it. Along the way, you'll also find out whether the Strv-122's weak spots are any different from those of the Leopard 2 it's built on. But before we get into it, please hit like and subscribe to our channel if you're enjoying this format. It genuinely helps us push the video out to more people. Thank you. So the story starts with the Strv-122 crew commander receiving an order to destroy yet another fortified Russian position. The tank's firing position is marked on the map. And get this, the distance to the enemy turns out to be just 250 meters. That's an anomaly, because that's a critically short distance. Even a bad shooter can hit a tank with an RPG at that range. Even an idiot with an assault rifle can put a burst toward the Strv-122 and take out its optics. But orders aren't up for debate. The Strv-122 commander's job is to figure out the approach route to the firing position and the withdrawal route after the mission is done. He could do that off a map, but instead, the tank commander decides to walk the route on foot first. And why would he do that? First, a map and UAV recon footage don't give you the full picture of actual ground conditions and small obstacles that can be fatal for a heavy vehicle. Second, it's critical for a tank to find a spot where it can see the target, but stay as hidden as possible behind terrain features, so a Russian ATGM can't reach it. That's why even a half-meter rise in the ground matters, because at 250 meters, you're well within direct line of sight. But the third reason is the most important. The enemy could have planted anti-tank mines on the likely approach routes. A foot reconnaissance lets you visually check the track for freshly turned soil and other signs.
I personally scouted everything and picked the exact spot where the tank needed to be.
This guy is a serious warrior. He didn't ask command why a tank specifically had to do this job. Because you don't question orders. But you and I aren't in the army. We're sitting on the couch. So after the fight, we'll find out why everything went down the way it did. So at dawn, before the sun or Russian drones had a chance to get up over the battlefield, the Strv-122 rolls out of cover to give the Russians a very bad morning. We're not revealing the exact location of the tank because fighting is still ongoing there. At first, everything goes smoothly. The tank covers the route quickly, rolls into position, and starts firing. After the fourth shot, the commander can tell the mission is done. The building where the Russians had dug in is destroyed.
We did everything and came back, but after noon they told me we needed to do it again.
Well, orders aren't up for debate. But there's no time to plan and scout a different route, and taking a different path carries almost a 100% chance of hitting a mine, because every field and road on the front line is littered with them. Taking the previous route turns out to be a few percentage points safer. And here's what happens next. The tank reaches the position again without incident, and fires another 4 rounds. That leaves 11 rounds still in reserve, because the upper ready rack of the Strv-122 holds 15 shells. But on the way back, the commander spots an enemy through his optics, hiding in a nearby tree line. The decision is made in an instant. The Strv-122 sharply changes direction and plunges into the unknown. What happened next? You already saw at the start of this video. And what comes after that? You're about to see right now. So the Strv-122 tears apart the enemy position and races back to base. But that engagement lasted several minutes, just long enough to cost the crew the safe distance they needed. Despite the Swedish tank's high speed, a drone catches up and hits it. The tank stops, and the next drone catches up right after. The Strv-122 has an emergency escape hatch in the hull floor, located directly under the loader's position. But the crew doesn't rush to bail out, because the engine is still running. And that means there's still a chance to drive out of there.
That hesitation actually saved us, because while we were figuring out what to do next, another one came in.
When the drone attack finally pauses, the guys get out and make it to cover in time. But why can't a tank with a running engine actually move?
Bottom line, they hit the radiators. The engine has an emergency mode, but the transmission's automatic protection kicked in and locked it up.
Right. The most vulnerable spot on both the Leopard 2 and the Strv-122 built on its platform is this section here, on top of the transmission compartment. That's where 2 large ring-shaped radiators sit, with powerful fans. They cool both the engine coolant and the transmission fluid. Knock those out, and the tank isn't going anywhere. Of course, the Russians know this. So this isn't the first time a tank has been stopped by exactly this kind of damage. We actually have a video on our channel about the Leopard 2's adventures near Pokrovsk, where the tank took very similar damage. But this layout has advantages that outweigh all the downsides. The radiators are large metal structures filled with fluid. When fragments, a bullet, or even a small shaped charged jet from a drone hits them, the radiator takes the blow instead of the engine. Yes, the tank loses coolant, can overheat, and may even stop. But the engine itself and the expensive transmission stay intact. So credit where it's due. Hats off to the German engineers for that design choice. But what actually happened to this tank?
The next evening I went back and got it.
So let's take a look at how the Strv-122 came through the drone attack. Look, the external protection and metal grills took damage, but the armor itself is untouched. The crew handles the repairs themselves. New grills get welded on. Fresh contact 1 blocks get bolted up. The same ones Leopard 2s use in this war. The loader turns into a metal worker.
A 19mm wrench is the main tool around here.
The driver mechanic becomes a welder.
The Strv-122 is a great tough piece of kit, but fiber optic FPVs are really hurting us. Still, we always find ways to cover our armor.
So, including the radiator replacement, which takes at least 6 hours on its own, the full restoration of the Strv-122 took less than a day. We wish the crew luck on their next missions. But now it's time to answer the real question. Does it actually make sense to use tanks in close-range combat? Let's start with artillery, since it packs the same punch but operates from a safe distance. But it's not that simple. After the very first shot, the gun gets picked up almost immediately by Russian counter-battery radars and can draw return fire very fast. So artillery isn't risked on small targets. It's saved for big strikes. Maybe the CV-90 IFVs, which also fight in this unit, would be a better fit for this kind of task. Sure, the 40mm Bofors cannon can fire programmable rounds that airburst and shred infantry with tungsten pellets. But turning a fortified position into rubble? Neither those rounds nor anything else in the CV-90's arsenal can do that. You can see exactly why in our separate video on the Swedish IFV. It seems like the most versatile tool of this war remains the drone. But tanks do get used where drones can't get the job done, whether because of bad weather or Russian EW jamming. Radio interference often cuts Ukrainian drones off before they even get close to enemy positions. An EW system has zero effect on a tank, though. On top of that, most UAVs carry a small warhead. not enough to destroy a fortified position and get the people sitting inside bunkers or behind walls. A tank round is a different story entirely. It punches through cover and detonates inside. In a minute or two, a tank can put out a dozen shells and simply flatten a position, making it completely unusable. There's no way to achieve that effect with drones.
From radio intercepts on their side, we heard that what they fear most is our tank fire.
And that says it all. When you need to break the enemy's will to fight, you send in a tank. Just its appearance on the battlefield triggers panic. Direct fire demoralizes far more than drones ever could. You really don't want to find yourself under that kind of fire. And that's probably exactly why Ukrainian command decided to put the Strv-122 into the fight. Here's our takeaway. In many situations, a tank is more effective than any other tool available because it's a mobile, armored vehicle with a precise and powerful gun that can engage fast and reposition just as fast. But drop a comment and tell us what you think about this specific operation and about the future of tanks in general. Will we still see them in the next wars? Or has their time finally passed? And if you want to see more tank missions, check out these playlists. You'll find the most dangerous and controversial tank operations of this war. Stay safe. Support Ukraine.